Shannon, you can put us on the record now.
Okay. Go ahead, Judge.
This is the matter of Weaver versus Weaver. Both parties are present. We're here on Mr. Joel Weaver's objections to the support order. The objection appears to be valid. Looks like the calculation failed to include that Mr. Weaver is responsible for the support of another child. And absolutely, if that's true, which it looks like it is, that needs to be taken into account in doing the child support calculation. What I would typically do is just simply send this back to the friend of the court, tell them to recalculate child support with the correct information. Let's see. That was the only objection, wasn't it, Mr. Weaver?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Did either of you have any questions for me?
I do.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, he just started a new job, so I don't know if that takes into effect, but I have some objections to myself, and I didn't know how to do that, but.
Well, we're here. You can tell me what they are, and I'll tell you if I can do anything about them.
Okay, well, one of them is like, I think it said in the court papers, like, I agreed to pay all the health stuff, and I want him to pay half of everything. Like, everything. Medical, everything. School stuff, you know.
Uninsured health care expenses are shared based on this current support order, which may change. The percentage might change when they recalculate. It's 51% by Mr. Weaver, 49% by you. That's the only thing we require is the uninsured expenses to be shared. Child support is intended to provide for all those other things that parents are responsible for. Sometimes parties can agree to share some other things, but the only thing we mandate is that uninsured health expenses be shared.
Okay. So just, in order for joint custody, I just want everything split in the middle.
If there are child care expenses, that can be addressed. I mean, are either of you incurring child care expenses currently?
I am, but we agreed to do it on our own.
Okay. All right.
Can I
well,
ask,
I
Your
will.
Honor?
Sure. Go ahead, Mr. Weaver.
On the medical, with my new job I just started, it said I wasn't recommended, but I don't know, per the order, but it didn't matter to me. But they're on my health insurance now. I'm just waiting on their insurance card.
Wonderful.
This is news to me, but.
Well, I'm assuming it's good news to you, Ms. Weaver.
Yeah.
What's the name of the new employer? Mr. Weaver?
Amazon LLC.
Will you be earning salary or be paid hourly?
It's hourly.
How much per hour?
It's 15.
And how many hours you expecting? 40 hours a week?
Yeah, close to that. But right now my average has been about 30.
Does it just depend on how much work they have for you?
Correct, Your Honor.
What's the contact information for your employer? Do you have that with you?
I don't know if I actually know the number. I'm sorry, I didn't actually think about that. I do believe I know the address. Well, no, that's the employee. I don't have a number for it, but I could get the address of its location.
That's good. I'll take the address.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Here. And the number. Yeah, what's the address? Yeah, give me the address, please. Okay, it is 7009 West Mount Hope Highway, Lansing, Michigan 48917.
And when did you start there?
I just started on May 31st.
All right, I'll provide that updated information to the friend of the court. And ma'am, it shows you working at Folk Oil, is that correct?
Yeah.
And there's been no change in your employment?
No, not yet.
All right. You both realize that when you do have a change in employment, you need to notify the friend of the court?
Okay.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, so I was just looking at the calculation.
I have to run across the hall. Be right back.
Hello.
All right, I was just curious how much a change that is, and it will certainly impact the calculation. I don't know by how much, but I don't run these numbers. I just send them to the friend of the court, and I'll give them updated information, and they will generate a new support order, possibly two. This one, let me see, this had an effective date of 5/1. So they might do one order effective 5/1 and another order effective 6/1 with the new income. So I'll make sure we get all of this over to them. You will still, hopefully that'll address all of the issues. Let me make sure of one other thing. All right, yeah, in your objection, you listed the case where you have the other child. I'll make sure they have that information.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am?
With that, because Calhoun County has one too, and we were told that like Jackson County would take over it, because I mean, I don't think he should have two, you know?
No, he won't. There'll just be one. There's one child and one support adjustment to be made. Whichever county has the case will be the one that they'll use. I see from the information it says that Jackson County has taken over that. I'll make sure that the friend of the court realizes that that's what we believe to be the state of affairs. They will check it out in any event. They have the ability to check for children on support in other counties through the system that they've got. I'll just make sure that they do that.
Okay. And then my
All right.
last is like, do you by chance know where we can get this divorce final though? Because we're both ready to be over it.
Let's see. Let me see when your complaint was filed. You should have gotten dates.
I haven't received anything. I don't know about
Yeah,
Hold on.
dates were September is one meeting, and then another one's in October, I believe, Your Honor.
How come
That
I
would
didn't
be
get
your
nothing?
pre-trial and trial date, which in a divorce involving minor children, a divorce cannot happen until 6 months have passed from the filing of the complaint. So that's the soonest we could get this wrapped up, folks.
Okay. So they haven't, so there's no court date then for that yet?
Yeah, well, according to what Mr. Weaver's telling me, he got a notice. I will verify that for you, ma'am. In just a
I
second.
haven't gotten one.
Let me, when did you get yours, Mr. Weaver?
I got that immediately after submitting everything. The county clerk, that was part of the paperwork they provided me, and all parties got a copy with that notice
I
as well.
didn't get it.
All right, well, let me, I'll get this for you, ma'am, and you're going to want to write this down because these are important dates.
Okay.
Give me just a moment.
Yeah, I gotta get a pen. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
So just to verify, we're showing your address, ma'am, as 2701 Calhoun Road, Lot 36, Albion.
Yes.
Okay, so that wasn't the problem. All right, we have a pretrial hearing on September 23rd at 9:30. And then there's a trial date, October 7th at 1:30.
Is that
So
gonna
at
be in
the-
person, you think?
You will be able to participate by Zoom.
Okay.
If you wish to come in person, you will be able to, but you're not required to. We actually encourage you to participate by Zoom. That saves some travel for you. And we're going to keep using Zoom as long as we can for as many people who prefer the convenience. Use the same information to dial into that hearing that you used to dial in today. So at a pretrial conference, what I determine is it necessary for us to have a trial? If you're all agreed on division of property, custody and parenting time and child support, there's no need for a trial. You would just prepare a judgment of divorce that reflects all of those terms. Mr. Weaver would have gotten a blank judgment of divorce at the time that he filed the complaint. And if you're in agreement on the terms, you fill it out, you get it reviewed and approved by one of our friend of the court referees. And there won't need to be a trial if you're in agreement on everything. But I'll explain all of this again at the pretrial, so you really don't have to remember that. But the soonest you're going to be able to be divorced is June. I don't know why they gave you those dates. Those dates aren't going to work. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Maybe they will. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Pardon me.
Okay.
Oh yeah, those dates will be good. I'm sorry. I was looking at an later filing date, and I see now that this was filed in March. So 6 months later is September. So the very earliest you could be divorced would be 180 days after March 18th. So there's nothing really we can do until then. So when you come back for the pretrial, I'll explain all of this. In the meantime, we'll try to get this temporary order fixed. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You both have a good day, please.
You
You
too,
too.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. I just let in a telephone ending in 9535. Could you tell me your name, please?
Heather Wilkinson.
All right, I've typed that into the information so that I don't have to try to remember that. And let's see, looks like Mr. Robert Mock is present. Let me bring him in and I will call your case next.
Okay, thank you.
As soon as we have a connection with Mr. Mock, I will proceed. Looks like we're having trouble making that connection. That often happens when someone has a poor signal.
That's okay.
All right, I'm going to try calling Mr. Mock at the phone number that's on the motion. Hopefully he'll answer his phone. Is this Mr. Mock?
Excuse me?
Is this Robert Mock?
Yes, this is.
All right, this is Judge LaFlamme. We were having trouble making a connection on your device, but you could participate by telephone.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, Ms. Wilkinson is also present by telephone. So we're here today on Ms. Heather Wilkinson's motion in order to show cause, claiming that you violated the PPO that was entered by the court back in April. So since you're here, I'm assuming you received a copy of her motion and what it is she claims you did to violate the PPO.
Yes, sir.
All right, you do have the right to contest this charge at a contempt hearing. You are also entitled to be represented by a lawyer at a contempt hearing, since the punishment for violation of a PPO can include up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Do you wish to have the court appoint an attorney to represent you, or do you wish to hire your own attorney?
No, thank you.
So would you like to represent yourself then at this contempt hearing?
At this point in time, yes.
All right. So as I've indicated to you, if you're found guilty of contempt of court for violating a PPO, you could face up to 93 days in jail and could be fined up to $500 if you're found guilty. Do you wish to contest this violation today?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. So, Ms. Wilkinson, what I'm going to do is put you under oath and take some testimony from you, and then I will take some testimony from Mr. Mock. So, Ms. Wilkinson, could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your full name for the record.
Heather Lee Wilkinson.
And Ms. Wilkinson, what was or is your relationship with Mr. Mock?
He's an ex-boyfriend of mine.
Ex-boyfriend, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking at your motion. It indicates or references rather an incident occurring on April 29th at 10:24 p.m. Could you please tell me what happened on that day?
I was at a friend of mine's house who was moving above Tully's, which is a bar on Cage Ave. And we caught him behind the dumpster. I don't know what he was doing back there, but he was still on the property. He knew my vehicle was there. I was parked right in front. He pulled in. We had some words exchanged. I told him that, I do have an active PPO. I did call the cops. An officer came. He did not state his name. He said that he would make sure that he documented that with the courts. Robert, at that point, he did some donuts, flung some rocks around in the parking lot, and he took off.
So, do you know if Mr. Mock had been served with the PPO prior to April 29th?
Yes, he had. Officer Flint in Napoleon Township served him.
All right, well, hold on. Let me verify that. Well, I'm not seeing a proof of service in the file. Let me ask, Mr. Mock,
Yes, sir.
do you know when you were served with the personal protection order?
I do not know the exact date.
Do you know if you were served with it before April 29th?
I believe that I was.
All right. All right. So go ahead, ma'am. You said, so Tooley's Bar, you work there? Oh, we lost her. Let me see if she's going to try to dial back in. Yeah, I don't know what happened. She disappeared from the Zoom meeting. The phone connection we had was a little staticky, so I'm wondering if maybe she's having phone signal issues. Here she is. She's dialed back in.
Are you there?
Ms. Wilkins? I am. I
Yes.
noticed that you
I'm
had
sorry.
disappeared. So. All right.
Yeah.
So we got you back in. So let me ask you then. Tooley's Bar, I see, is on Page Avenue. Is it? You said you work there?
No, nope. A friend of mine was moving in, and I was helping her move above. There's an apartment up there, and I have the PPO. It was served on 4/20 of 21.
That's the same day it was issued.
Nope, that
Yeah,
happened the 29th.
All right. Well, he acknowledges that he was aware of the PPO, so we can go forward with that. So you saw him hiding behind a dumpster at Tooley's, and you said you didn't know what he was doing there?
Yes, I don't know if he was going to the bathroom. I don't know if he was spying on me. I'm not sure why. It didn't really matter because he was on the property.
Well, let me look at the PPO. Does prohibit him appearing at your workplace, and he's aware. That's not where you work, though, correct? Oh, we lost her again. Ms. Wilkinson, what seems to be the problem with your phone? What's the
I'm
problem?
not sure. I don't know. I'm not getting any signal in my house all of a sudden. Normally I get really good service, and I'm not sure what is going on.
I see. It's your cell phone is dropping the call.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
You know, if this happens again, what I'm going to do is adjourn the hearing to another date. But I'm not going to keep doing this. You're going to have to figure out a way to get to a place where you've got good phone service.
Right.
But I'm not. If you drop off again, I'll just inform Mr. Mock that it's being adjourned. And when you come back on, I will let you know what it's being adjourned to. But I've got other things I've got to handle, and I can't keep going through this process. So again, you do not work at Tooley's, correct?
Correct.
All right. So there isn't anything in the PPO that prohibits him from being at Tooley's Bar or in the Tooley's Bar parking lot behind a dumpster, but it does prohibit him from following you or appearing in your presence. So, is it your suspicion that he was actually following you and that's why you saw him?
No, I saw him because they told me that he was down there, so I went down there to make sure it was him, and that's when he got in his car and did donuts and had words with me and then took off. And then on May 2nd, I also have pictures.
Hold on. Did he tell you what he was doing there?
No.
Okay. So you just testified. You had a brief conversation with him. He got in his car, and after he got in his car, what, if anything, did he do?
When he got in his car, he lunged the car forward at me and then started doing donuts in the parking lot and flung rocks all over the place and then left.
All right. And then it looks like the next incident was on May 2nd. What happened at May 2nd?
May 2nd, I was at Dollar General. I just got back in my truck. He wanted to know who I was seeing, who I was sneaking around with. We took off. I pulled into the Admiral parking lot, which is maybe about a half a mile down the road. He pulled in and started the accusations of who I was with, wanted to know his name, yada, yada. I do have pictures of him doing that.
All right. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mock, do you acknowledge being at Thule's bar on April 29th? Well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Do you have any questions for Ms. Wilkinson?
Do I have any questions for her?
Yes.
No.
All right. Now I need to put you under oath. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your full name, please.
Robert Scott Mock.
Okay, Mr. Mock, do you acknowledge being at the Thule's bar parking lot on the evening of April 29th?
Yes, I do. But the account of her story is not exactly what it is.
All right. Well, you tell me, first of all, what were you doing there?
I was down there because the bartender, Barbie McDowell, I believe is her last name, is the bartender manager down there. And she had been in contact with me because Miss Wilkinson had been down there bashing me and trying to get me banned from that establishment when I hadn't been in there at all. And so she had told me to come down and talk with her and Bernie, which is the owner. And so by the time I get down there, I didn't realize that they'd closed. And I had asked Barbie about Heather being down there, that the truck was there. And she said that she was not down there. So even though that her truck, she'd been leaving her truck in the parking lot there at numerous occasions. So Barbie assumed that that was just another time that her truck was parked there, but she was not there. She assured me she wasn't there. So I went down there, and by the time I got there, the door was locked, so they were closed. And I was getting ready to leave. I had to go to the restroom, so I went behind the dumpster, tried to sneak in behind the dumpster to take the pee, which I know is not legally correct, but I had to go really bad, and that's being honest. And while I was there finishing up, that's when Miss Wilkinson and her friend Kelly Buckland appeared up on the deck at the apartment above. And so when I was started heading to my car, Heather had come down from the apartment yelling, calling me a mother effer and this and that. And I was just trying to get to my car to leave. And I could hear her friend Kelly telling her to stop and not go to the parking lot. And Heather continued to come and running at me with her phone and calling me names. So I jumped in my car and I turned and I headed for the exit and got the heck out of there. I didn't want any confrontation. And so that's why I left. And that's why I jumped in my car. I didn't launch the car at her, and I didn't definitely didn't do donuts in the parking lot. So that's all incorrect.
Did you?
I wasn't there.
Did you spin your tires as you were leaving?
No. I turned my car to the right, did a 180 because the exit was behind me. So I did a 180 and got out of there as quick as I could.
All right.
As she was running at me with her phone.
All right. So she is the one who approached you versus you approaching her.
That is absolutely correct.
All right. And then looks like just a few days later on May 2nd, she testified that you followed her from the Dollar General on Page Avenue to the Admiral gas station on Page Avenue. Is that correct?
No, I did not. I did not follow her.
Did you see her that day?
Yes. We ended up at the Admiral gas station at the same time. Yeah. And then once again, she trying to pull her phone out. So I once again didn't get gas and I left.
So when you pulled into the Admiral gas station, did you know she was there?
Yeah, she came in one direction, I came in the other.
So you both pulled in at the same time?
Yeah. My issue is I live in Michigan Center. I frequent the gas stations and the Dollar General and those places in Michigan Center. Heather lives in Napoleon, which they have gas stations and Dollar General. I just don't understand why she has to continue to come to the stores in Michigan Center that she has in Napoleon and then risk running into me somewhere. I'm from Michigan Center. She's from Napoleon. She lives in Napoleon. I live in Michigan Center. What? Why do I keep running into her in stores in Michigan Center? I do not go to Napoleon at all. I stay out of Napoleon, so it's not like I'm going to Dollar General in Napoleon. I don't go to the gas stations in Napoleon. But I have to tiptoe around the gas stations and the Dollar General and whatnot in Michigan Center and to keep myself from getting in trouble. And I just don't understand why she can't frequent her stores in her town and make it easier and just make it simple and easy and avoid any situation.
Well, Mr. Mock, the reality is a PPO doesn't prohibit her from doing anything. It only prohibits you from doing something.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if you happen to find yourself at the same gas station or the same store or the same bar, because of the PPO, you must leave immediately because you cannot be in her presence. You cannot confront her. You have to leave. And I realize from what you said that if she's going to keep coming around, that there are going to be opportunities that you're going to bump into each other. But it doesn't matter. She's not prohibited from doing anything. You're the one that's being prohibited. Now, she said that you also confronted her about who she was seeing.
No. I know who she's seeing, so I don't know why I would need to confront her. No. Hello?
I hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I lost you.
No, but we did lose her.
Anymore.
All right. Looks like we've got you back. All right. Well, this. I'm ready to rule. Certainly, it appears that Mr. Mock on the incident on May 2nd was in violation of the PPO. I do find that he was in violation of the PPO because he didn't immediately leave the Admiral gas station when he saw that you were there. I'm going to simply give him a warning. Mr. Mock,
Yes, sir.
as I indicated, Ms. Wilkinson had phone problems again, and I didn't realize it until just now. This PPO prohibits you from being in her presence. So even if she's the one that approaches you, you've got to get out of her presence. You can't talk to her. You can't confront her. You're just going to have to leave. So I'm going to give you a warning today. If there's another incident where you remain in her presence, even though it's a chance meeting, there's going to be consequences. I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
going to just give you a warning. You need to stay away from her. If you see her, turn around and go the other way. Ms. Wilkinson, I would simply tell you that you should be cautious. If you see him, even though you're not prohibited from being around him, you should turn around and head in the other direction so there's no opportunity for any kind of a confrontation.
Yes, sir.
Are
Absolutely.
we clear, Mr. Mock, on what my expectations are?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our hearing.
Thank you.
Do you have an order, Donna?
I do.
Okay. Dang, Donna's on it. I guess from now on, just tell me when you don't have an order, because it seems like lately you have an order.
It seems lately I usually do, so it's much appreciated. Let me see.
Because she's super Dawn.
Yeah. So, I got a request for you, John. I'm not sure which of these boxes to check. They're statutory references. I think it's the one for domestic relation, domestic relationship PPOs. And I think the others probably refer to the non-domestic relationship, but I don't know the statutory references off the top of my head, so I just need to know which box to check. And when you find the right one, just go ahead and check it, and then you can send that downstairs. Okay, Shaw versus Shaw. And I don't see. Oh, here we go. Good morning. Is this Taylor Shaw?
Yes.
All right. This is a matter of Shaw versus Shaw. Ms. Taylor Shaw has filed a motion to amend the judgment of divorce to restore her maiden name. You have the absolute right to do that, ma'am. I will grant your request.
Okay.
So, John, I'm going to hand this to you. Sometimes there are scale order forms that match up. You would find it very close to the number of the scale form for this motion. So look on where our scale orders are and see if you can find it. If not, I'm going to want you to do an order amending the judgment of divorce, restoring to Ms. Taylor Ann Shaw her maiden name of, I'm assuming it's Luce, ma'am?
Yes. Yep.
Restoring her name to Taylor Luce. And then, ma'am, we'll make sure we get that order to you.
Okay.
You have a good day, ma'am.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. And let's see. Well, I see two people in here who don't show up on my list. So I'm just going to let them in and see who they are. Oh, wait a minute. They're here for the 10:30. Shannon, on Curl versus or
Right.
no show. Let's see what it was. It was Mr. Orr's motion to terminate. Since he failed to appear, I'll sign this order denying the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, let's bring in Reem. So, Mr. Reem, can you hear me?
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Reem. Ms. Hedrick, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Doing your
Okay, we're here on the matter of Hedrick versus Reem. And this is
I don't remember if
Ms.
that blue light's been on this
Hedrick's
whole time. Or...
motion regarding support custody and parenting time. I've got a summary from.
Yeah, I see.
So, Mr. Reem, I'm going to mute your channel until I need to talk to you. I'm getting some background noise in. All right. I have a summary from the friend of the court referee, but I wanted to read your actual motion.
Okay.
So it looks like you're asking to change custody and parenting time because the children have requested the change, correct? So it's possible that the underlying reasons for why the children are requesting a change might provide a basis for me to at least entertain your motion, but solely a request from the children is insufficient.
Okay.
It doesn't reach the threshold that's required before I can consider a change of custody. In order for, under the Child Custody Act, before a court can entertain a motion for change of custody, there has to be a significant change in circumstances or other good cause, but simply the request of the children is not considered legally sufficient. As you might imagine, sometimes kids make that kind of request because they want to go and live with the easy parent and the parent who makes them do their chores and pick up after themselves and whatever else it is that's going on. So that in and of itself is not enough. So are you aware of any underlying reasons for why the children are asking for this?
Gage had stated prior that he did not feel, he hadn't lived with his dad in a little over 5 years. And he went to, when he moved up with his dad, he moved up with his dad and his dad's new girlfriend in Twin Lake. Part of the reason for him moving up there was due to COVID. And he was having to go to school virtually down here, and he was struggling horribly with that. And being able to go up to his father's, he could go to school all day, every day, because down here in Olivet, they only did 2 days in person, and the rest of the time was virtual. And like I said, he has really had ADD, so he was struggling horribly with the virtual side of it because being on the computer all day, he was not doing good with that.
So tell me, when did Gage move back to his father's?
It was around September, October, because actually Ryan and I had a conversation via phone regarding both of the children going to live with him. He had stated that he would be willing to take both of the children. Part of it was due to this whole COVID situation and the kids having to go virtual. So Ryan and I had talked about drawing up an agreement, and if we agreed to the agreement, then we would move forward, but if not, then we would leave things the way they were. So that Friday, when I went to drop the children off to Ryan, I sent the agreement with Gage to go give to his father when I dropped him off, and Ryan was to either, if he agreed to it, he was going to let me know. If not, we would just go back to normal. Well, Mr. Ream actually did not meet me that Sunday and didn't give the kids back to me until we actually ended up coming in front of you. So he kept them for, I believe it was like 6 weeks. So he had Gage from that time until we had saw you. And then Kevin ended up coming home with me, and Gage stayed with him.
All right. And Kevin's been staying with you since then?
Kevin's lived with me since the day he was born.
All right. And does he go to parenting time with his father?
If his father picks him up, yes.
Well, how often does that happen?
What's that?
How often does that happen?
Christmas time, Ryan was supposed to have a week. Kevin called me the next day because I guess some issues had arose at his grandma's house. When they went over there for dinner, he was not happy. He felt that he was being picked on. He had actually broken his foot. And I was told, I'm not exactly sure what the truth is, but I was told by Kevin when he called me crying that everyone laughed at him and told him just suck it up and get over it. But actually, when I got Kevin back the following Sunday, I took him into the doctor and his foot was actually broken. So he didn't extend that full parenting time. The next time, the next couple weekends, he went up there like normal. Spring break was an issue. I have two different, obviously I have Ryan, and then I meet with my ex-husband, David. And unfortunately, a lot of the times coincide with each other. Well, Ryan and I's normal parenting time, meeting time is 7 p.m., but holiday is 6 p.m. I forgot. I was completely honest. I forgot. I was going to meet at 7, like the normal thing, instead of 6. Ryan had contacted Kevin and told Kevin at 6:15. He said, if you're not here, or he asked him where we were, and Kevin said, on the highway. And he said, if you're not here by 6:30, I'm leaving. And so we pulled in at 6:32 p.m. Mr. Ream had pulled out at 6:30 p.m. My son called him bawling, Dad, please come back and get me. Ryan refused. He told him, he said, it was your mom's mistake. She should have been here on time. And, I fully admitted, I apologize. I forgot it was 6 p.m., not 7 p.m. And like I said, he was talking on the phone with Kevin, and Kevin was crying to him, asking him, he was only a couple miles down the highway, and he would not turn around and come back and get him. The following morning, Kevin then contacted his father again. Dad, will you meet mom to get me? And Ryan said, your mom can bring you all the way here, but I'm not meeting you again. I already met once and you didn't show up. So he didn't go with him for spring break, and he was supposed to have him for, I think it was almost like 10 days because it was spring break and Easter. Maybe it was just a week. I'm sorry. And then there was this 2 weekends ago.
Let me stop you. So, I'm gathering from what you're saying that Kevin would prefer to live with you, but
Yeah.
he does like to visit his dad.
He wants to go to his dad when he wants to. He doesn't want to be made to, because he
Okay.
doesn't want to be continually let down when he's supposed to go to his dad's and his dad doesn't get him.
So Kevin is 10.
He's 11. He'll be 12 this year.
Oh, okay. I see that. He'll be 12 in September. And Gage just turned 13 in January.
Yes, sir.
So right now, is Gage living with his father?
Gage is living with his father at this time.
But he wants to come back.
He stated numerous times that he has wanted to come back, and there is numerous reasons I would like him to come back.
And
One
you
of my
and
biggest,
Mr. Reem,
what's
hold
that?
on, you and Mr. Reem have discussed that.
Oh, no.
Apparently, you haven't?
We have attempted, but Mr. Reem will not discuss anything with me. That's part of our issue, is he will not communicate or co-parent with me in any way. I can't even contact him other than through email.
You don't even know whether or not he's willing to let Gage come back.
At the very first time we talked about it, when Gage had asked me if I would help him talk to his father, Ryan calmly talked to me about it, and he was in agreement to let Gage come back after school was done. But since then, Ryan said absolutely not. But he won't say it to me. He says it through the children because he won't communicate with me. Just this past weekend, when I picked Kevin up from his parenting time, I tried to talk to Mr. Reem about it, and he blew up on me in the middle of Meyer parking lot. I ended up talking to his girlfriend because Ryan refused to talk to me.
How often do you talk to Gage?
When he's allowed to call me. They have taken his phone, and apparently they have taken his tablet. He can't contact me. I've emailed Mr. Reem to ask him to talk to Gage, and he won't respond to me.
So when you have spoken to Gage about the subject of him living with you, what has he said are his reasons?
Well, for one, he said he's not comfortable there. He doesn't feel like it's home. He has to share a room with his girlfriend's son. And I think they've been together for like a year or something like that. But he just doesn't feel like he has his own space. He doesn't feel like he is very comfortable. Another reason is he doesn't feel like he gets time with his dad. He asks his dad to do things with him, and his dad tells him no. He feels like he shows more attention to his girlfriend's kids than he does to Gage. He stated that he is he doesn't feel like he can talk to his dad whenever he brings things up to his dad that he wants to talk to his dad about. He said he yells and gets mad and gets angry and won't just sit and talk to Gage. He doesn't feel like he can express himself or be himself without his dad judging him or putting him down. Prime example, Gage wants a mullet. And I guess his dad said, no, I'm not having somebody that looks like white trash live in my house. But it's just different things like that. But also, Gage loves baseball, absolutely loves baseball. That is his thing. And he was supposed to play baseball, and Ryan signed him up, took him to a practice or two, and then pulled him out of baseball. No reason. I don't understand. I don't know why he pulled him out of baseball. I mean, he said he made a comment. Go ahead.
But let me hear from Mr. Ream. So, Mr. Ream, you're going to need to unmute so I can hear you. I had to mute it because I was getting a lot of background noise. Mr. Ream, can you hear me? I'm not sure what the problem is. I don't think he can hear me. I've several times asked him to unmute his phone, but I don't think he's looking at the computer screen. He's looking at his telephone. Um, well, it appears that Mr. Ream has lost interest in this hearing, which is troublesome. Do you have any indication that Gage is being mistreated at his father's home?
He has not told me that he has been, I mean, he gets in trouble often from what he says. His dad says in one breath, I don't have any issues with his behavior. And then in another breath, he said he took his phone because he was having inappropriate text messages with other girls. I know I did have an issue with, he had COVID, which that's another thing is I have legal custody of Gage and I was never even informed that the kid had COVID. I do not get told anything, just like with all his school stuff. I was never informed of anything. I had to call and put myself on stuff because he didn't put me on anything. But yeah, he had COVID, no symptoms or anything like that, and was locked in the basement for 10 days because they have a new baby. And I understand that he can't be around anybody or can't have contact with other members of the family, but they wouldn't even let him go outside. And he's 13 years old. He suffers from ADD. They didn't even give him his medicine while he was down there. So the kid's stuck in a room fighting his own demons in his head, trying to, cope with that. And couldn't even go. And then when I was talking to Gage that day, I was talking to him on video chat saying, yes, you can go outside. There's no reason you can't. You just can't be around anybody else or you can't leave your property. His dad came in the bedroom screaming and yelling, he can't go outside. He can't do this. He can't do that. And yes, I was concerned at that time because I'm like, why is this kid made to sit in a bedroom for 10 days? He can't go out and get any fresh air. He can't, he hasn't had his Adderall. So he's bouncing off the walls in a room that he's in. So Gage has told me he's afraid of his dad because of the way Ryan yells and screams at him. But whether he actually physically hits him, Gage has not said anything to that extent.
I'm looking back through your file. It looks like there's been frequent changes to parenting time over the years.
Ryan had a stroke in 2000, it was 2017 or 2018 due to drug overdose. So we had to change everything at that time because he wasn't there, I guess you could say. So in 2018, I got full physical and legal custody of both boys. And then, like I said, in November of last year, we let Gage go live with him because for one, Gage asked, but for two, because of the whole COVID thing, and Gage was coming into his teen years and the kid needed a male role model horribly.
So I was looking back at the last order that was entered. The two of you reached an agreement and put it on the record, and I prepared an order.
Yes. That was November of last year, correct?
November. And it provides that for the summer, there's supposed to be week on, week off parenting time.
Yes.
Which is going to begin here very shortly. I'm assuming they got maybe one more week of school to go.
Yeah, it starts in like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Any reason to believe that's not going to take place?
I mean, it will, but Kevin's in baseball. He was signed up and he's in baseball. So I know there's going to be some things. I don't know if Mr. Ream is going to agree to bring Kevin down for his baseball games or how that's going to work. But yes, I plan on.
That's quite a distance to be traveling for baseball games.
Right.
I'm going to assume Mr. Ream's not going to want to do that.
Probably not.
So, one of the things that the Child Custody Act is designed to prevent is frequent changes of custody. I'm concerned at this point about ordering anything. I'm inclined to say for now, let's not do anything. Let's see how the summer goes and see how the boys feel at the end of the summer.
Okay. My questions
follow the order.
Are regarding Mr. Ream not taking Kevin when he's supposed to. Because it's been numerous times now when he was supposed to have him, just like they went to Florida 2 weeks ago. He was supposed to have Kevin that weekend and told Kevin no, he wasn't getting him. They were going to Florida. And then just this past week for Memorial Day weekend, I said, so are you getting Kevin? I spoke to him on Wednesday and he told me no. And then Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m., he messaged Kevin and said, yes, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, okay, we just made all these plans because you said no. Now you're telling Kevin yes. So I have to switch everything around again. And just like, okay, Mother's Day. Mother's Day in our court order states that I was supposed to have Gage from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I contacted Ryan in the middle of the week before Mother's Day and said, you're meeting me on Sunday at 9 to get Gage, right? And he said, no. And I said, so you're going against the order? He said, I'm not driving that much in one day. He said, if you want him, you can have him for the weekend. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. So he basically made up his own schedule because he didn't feel like following the court order. And that's the hard part is like, I have to do all this with him through email because he refuses. He has me blocked on text. He has me blocked on phone call. Like I can't contact him other than emailing him. And
So,
half the time he doesn't even respond.
Ms. Hedrick, I realize that because of the way that last order was entered, we didn't do any change as to the holiday parenting time. But the reality is, when I have parents at that distance apart, the days where it's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. are very impractical. They require the kid to do a whole lot of driving. They require everyone else to do a whole lot of driving. I'm frankly sympathetic with how Mr. Reed feels about that. If he offered you the whole weekend instead, why in the world wouldn't you take it?
I did. It's
Oh,
just the
well,
point
that's good.
of, it's just the point of he, you know, I'm supposed to follow the court order to a T, but he can kind of just do what he wants and take kids when he wants, not take kids when he wants. So I'm like, I try to make plans and I try to get stuff situated,
I
and then
get-
at the last minute, he changes his mind.
I get that, ma'am. I can't force a parent to take parenting time when it's theirs. The consequence, if a parent repeatedly doesn't exercise parenting time, is ultimately I might take it away from him. But we don't force parents to take the kids.
Right.
We punish them when they refuse to produce the kids when they're supposed to through parenting time violations and contempt of court.
And that's what
So-
I'm fighting with right now, is to try to, because he's not the one that has to pick up the pieces to Kevin and have to try to explain to Kevin why dad didn't show up or why dad didn't get him. And Kevin tries to express to Ryan that he feels unwanted and unloved. And instead of trying to talk to him about it, Ryan tells Kevin, "You're being disrespectful. You're not supposed to talk to me this way."
All right. Well, looks like I've got Mr. Ream's attention. Let me inquire from him. Mr. Ream, you can hear me now? Mr. Ream? I can definitely hear him now, but it doesn't sound like he's hearing me. He must have the sound turned down on his end. Let me see if I can get him by phone.
Can I exit out of that one? Oh, this is hard. Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Ream, it's clear that you couldn't hear me, so.
Oh, no, my screen's still blank.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I'm gonna mute your computer so we don't get feedback.
Okay.
But I was puzzled as what was going on. Early in the hearing, I muted your channel because I was getting a lot of background noise in.
Okay.
But then when I tried to get your attention later, I was having no success.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so now we got you here. I'm assuming you haven't heard any of this.
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, let's.
Yeah, I've been sitting in the waiting room for almost an hour.
Well, that's because I had other stuff ahead of you. But once I brought
Okay.
once I brought you out of the waiting room and I've had you in here, it looks like it's essentially you've been in the waiting room again because you weren't able to hear anything.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing from Ms. Hedrick about the issues that she's complaining about with the boys.
Okay.
That Gage is telling her he wants to come and live with her.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not okay with it. When I got custody of Gage, he came here with all C's and D's, missing a ton of school. When they were both dropped off to me, I had to do both of them through virtual. And then obviously with Volmetric Court, she was awarded back to having Kevin. He had actually I have it right here. He had a D+, an E, an E, a C, and an E in his classes. And I have all of it. I have everything, proof of all that. And now he's had 2 report cards so far. And he's had all A's, B's, and 1 C both times. Current grades right now are A, B minus, A, B plus, and a C.
So let me stop you for a minute, and I'll give you a more chance. But my recollection and understanding at the time when this was changed was he was really struggling with online schooling, and the reason for having him come to live with you is because up north, they're doing in person, and he does a lot better with in-person schooling.
No, when he comes to me, he still had to do virtual for another month. Actually until January. He was, as far as I know, he was brought to me when she dropped both of them off, and I have text messages and pictures of him punching holes in the wall. His behavior's out of control. Her texting me saying, "I'm dropping him off to you." And basically she couldn't handle him. He was out of control. He did what he wanted when he wanted. And that's a big part of why he wants to go back, is because I don't let him just, do what he wants and tell me what he's going to do. But on 10/1 of 2020, 8 days before she dropped him off to me, I have a picture of him punching a huge hole in the wall and her saying, "I'm bringing Gage to you tomorrow, Ryan."
All right. So I've heard her perspective. I've heard yours. Let's talk about Kevin.
Okay.
She's told me, well, I didn't realize you couldn't hear us until well into the hearing, that Kevin wants to spend time with you and has been disappointed every time that he's scheduled to spend time with you and for one reason or another isn't able to. What's your perspective on that?
Well, there was one time where I went to pick him up and she didn't show up, and I sat there for 40 minutes so she has always given me the time. It's always her schedule because of me suffering the stroke. And, I don't really say too much about times, when and where. He's given me a schedule and I've stuck to it. So I was there at 5:45. I'm always early. And at 6:30, no response from either of them. And so I left. And I had, I have other kids that have to go places. And so I left. I wasn't going to keep sitting there. No response for the first half hour, no nothing.
All right. I heard her version of that incident, so I was aware of it. Obviously a different perspective, but I was aware of that incident. There was also an incident over spring break. What's your recollection of that?
That was that week.
That was the same week?
Yeah, that was this week that I was talking about.
I gotcha. So we're coming up on the summer schedule. The summer schedule, according to the last order we did, was week on, week off. Are you still planning to follow that?
Yes. But in the court paperwork, it was stating that Kevin don't want to come to me at all. And then when I reached out to him, he basically said, "No, I just don't want to have to go." And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to agree to that just for the fact of I'm not going to wait until Thursday or Friday for you, because all week it changes. One day I'm coming, the next day I'm not, the next day I'm coming. And if we try to plan something, I can't always rely on.
You're the one that changes it, not him.
I've never made my kids come if they didn't want to come. And I don't necessarily want it in court order where they have a choice to where if they change their mind Friday at 3:00, to where I can't make no plans because I'm not sure if they're coming or going.
You're kidding.
All right. So here's what the last order says. It says for the summer, it's week on, week off, and there's nowhere in this order that gives either boy the ability to say, "No, I don't want to." So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to grant any change now. I want you to follow this order for the summer, and let's see where we are at the end of the summer.
Okay.
I'm very reluctant to wade into changing again. This file has had so many changes in it. That's not helpful, particularly when it's being driven by the kids as opposed to being driven by what's in the kids' best interest. So I'm going to expect you both to follow this order for the summer. And at the end of the summer, hopefully things will have settled down a little bit. But if not, if there are any serious issues that the court needs to address, I'd be willing to entertain them, but only after we've seen the summer play out. I expect you to follow it. So that means wherever you're supposed to meet, you're going to be there. You're going to be there on time. You're going to have the kids there. There's not going to be any last minute changes. You're going to follow the order.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Hedrick.
Okay, regarding times, we have to figure something out because you granted the times for the holiday schedule the same exact as my ex-husband's, and I can't be in two places at once.
Well, let's figure out what it is. It sounds like from Mr. Ream's perspective, he only wants to know that whatever it is, that's what we're going to follow. So I set it for exchanges on Fridays at 7 o'clock.
The regular parenting time is fine. It's the holiday schedule that's the issue.
Oh, I got you. And I didn't really wade into that when you guys put your agreement on the record back in November. The problem with the overnight, it's just a single
It's
day.
the meeting time. It's the time to meet, just like Memorial Day weekend. I had to meet Ryan at 6 p.m. and I'm supposed to meet David at 6 p.m. I can't meet both of them at 6. And Ryan won't, 90% of the time, won't work with me.
Okay, well, hold on. One thing that's clear to me is these holidays that are just during the day, those aren't going to work. You're too far apart. That's too much traveling to impose on a kid. That doesn't work.
That's not what I was referring to over the weekend ones that I have to meet him on Friday and Sunday.
All right. So 7 p.m. Friday works for you, correct?
That's our normal meeting time for normal parenting time.
Does that also work for you for holidays?
Yes, for me, yes,
yeah,
sir.
it should.
Well, let's just do that. So the holiday parenting time, the single day holidays, I'm getting rid of, okay? If you want to turn those into a weekend voluntarily, you can, but I'm not going to have all that driving for
Can we
a
put it
single
on the
day.
record and put it in the order to turn it into a weekend?
Are you okay with that, Mr. Ream?
No. It's because if we already have stuff planned, I would rather just do, because that was the issue we ran into before was, for one day, he wanted me to meet, and I'm like, I'm not spending 4 hours in the car on Mother's Day.
That's what he's saying.
I don't
Turn
want-
it into a whole weekend instead of just a day.
Yeah. Well, that's the request. Mr. Ream is opposed to that request.
He's opposed to everything.
Well, I can understand. It's a significant change.
I just don't see why you would want more time with your kids, but it's okay.
All right, so the change that I'm going to order is that the single day holidays are omitted. On other holidays, the exchange time will be 7 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. Does that solve those issues?
Yes, sir.
And then again, I expect you to follow this summer schedule and see how it goes. But letting the kids drive the bus is not a good idea, especially when they're as young as these ones are.
So what do we do about the rest of the court orders that he hasn't followed.
Which
Regarding
parts?
communicating with me, regarding talking negatively about the other parent in front of the children, abiding by I have legal custody and not informing me of anything.
I expect those orders to be followed.
So what do
Not
we do?
changing.
What do I do to him if he doesn't follow them? Because he can't at all.
You can file a motion for an order to show cause. Mr. Ream, what seems to be the problem with communication from your perspective?
It's always her way or the highway. It's just, there is no communication. And I get tired of my phone being blown up. So yes, I do have her blocked, but she can email me. I know she texts me off of my son's phone and my girlfriend off of his phone, saying negative things, bad things. I don't want the drama. I just want to pick up my kids when I'm supposed to. And I know I've said this before, and drop them off when I'm supposed to. I'm always on time. I'm always early. If I have something that interferes with it, I move it to make sure that I'm there to pick them up or drop them off. I left it up to her when the weather was bad. I said, it's your weekend. If you want me to drive it, I'll drive it. I made it all the way there. And then after a half hour, she says, I can't make it.
Yeah, because we were in a blizzard and it was 2 days after I had to get directed.
So I don't want the issues. I just want to pick up my kids when I'm supposed to and drop them off when I'm supposed to, and I'm fine.
Any reason you can't communicate by email?
Because he doesn't answer me. So then he tries to communicate through my son, which the court order says you're not supposed to do. My son is not a part of the issues between us, so he shouldn't be contacted regarding adult stuff.
I'll address all of those in an order. I need to stop now. I expect you to follow the orders. I'll make these adjustments as I put on the record. I will reiterate in my order some method of communicating that works. We'll try to come up with something. I think the communications need to be limited to essential communications. Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor,
how do I request a drug test?
I'm not going to order a drug test.
My son gets prescribed Adderall that's coming up missing, and he's filling it before my son runs out, which my son is the one that told me that.
I'm not wading into that now. Mr. Reed, you had one other thing?
Yes, I just need to decide whose week is whose in the summer. Reason being is because when we get into this week thing, like I know I had holidays last year that I also had this year. So I just want to kind of on a schedule because she's always made up the schedule to what weekend she wants or what week wants. And I just want it done by the court.
So when's their last day of school?
Kevin's last day of school is the 8th, and I'm supposed to get Gage on the 11th. That was when the week begins.
There we go. Does that work for you, Mr. Reed?
No, that's what she has decided.
Exactly.
That was never.
He won't figure it out.
What do you want it to be?
I wanted it to be the opposite week. I've just never expressed it because the whole they got dropped off to me. We've been dealing with custody. The whole COVID thing, and
it's stated in our court order that the schedule goes along coinciding with my ex-husband, so that when all my boys are together, it's when I have Mylon. So that's why it was done that way, and you put it in our court order that way. So that's why Gage has to come here on the 11th because that's when I have Mylon. He wants to coincide it to when his girlfriend has her kids, and they have no relation to my kids.
Yeah, but I have a daughter now with her. But the thing is like I said, I had them the last 2 Easters. Like I keep getting the same holidays.
No, he didn't have them last Easter. He chose to. It wasn't his scheduled time. All I'm saying is you put it in the court order to coincide my schedule
with all of our
my
kids
son.
on the same schedule.
Well, that sounds like that's going to be impossible. I can't put all of the kids on 2 conflicting schedules. That's impossible.
And that's my thing. My son is their biological brother. He wants to do it with his girlfriend's kids who have no relation to my kids. And they've been on the schedule with Mylan for years now, since Mylan was born. That's how it's been.
Clearly, you have opposing views on what's best. We've got an existing order that says when that's supposed to happen. I expect that order to be followed.
Thank you.
All right, I have to go.
I don't, Your Honor. Your Honor.
I've got to go. I'm out of time.
I just need to know, can I get there's not an existing order though.
There is. He just told you.
If there
It
is
coincides with David's schedule.
I will look for that order. If that's what it says, that's what we're going to follow. She says
Okay,
there is.
Is there a way I can get a copy of it?
Sure.
Not everyone.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
All right.